The Chernobyl sarcophagus has been attacked by an explosive drone, resulting in the loss of its main safety features. In recent days, a great many newspapers have reported the news with alarmist tones, referencing a recent press release from the International Atomic Energy Agency as their source and suggesting that a new nuclear catastrophe might be just around the corner. But is that truly the case? As is frequently the situation in these matters, the reality is that things are not as alarming as they might appear. First of all, let's take a closer look at the drone attack on the nuclear power plant so as to have a clearer view of what happened. The first thing to keep in mind is that the drone did not attack the plant in recent days, but it is a fact that dates back to February the 14th, around 2 in the morning. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was enveloped in silence when suddenly the security personnel heard a very loud roar. The facility, more accurately the external protective sarcophagus surrounding Reactor 4, had been struck by a drone fitted with an explosive payload. It was identified as a Shahed 136, which is a drone measuring 3.5 meters in length, possessing a wingspan of 2.5 meters and able to transport an explosive warhead with a weight ranging from 50 to 90 kilograms. How do we know it was precisely this model? Simple. The authorities found the remains, such as the engine. Who launched it? Ukraine accused Russia, but the Kremlin denied it. In this context, however, we are not interested in understanding who launched the attack, but rather the consequences it brought about. Indeed, the explosion was such that it perforated the sarcophagus and started a fire. And clearly, in those days, newspapers all over the world had their eyes fixed on the plant, intimidated by a possible release of radioactive material. But immediately, no radiation levels above average were recorded. How can this be explained? To figure that out, we must go back and understand the operational mechanics of the Chernobyl protective sarcophagi. Specifically, the most severe nuclear incident in history took place on April the 26th, 1986. Specifically, the unit involved was Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Today, I don't want to retrace exactly what happened, also because we have already made a video documentary on the subject, but the crucial piece of information we need is that the primary objective back then was to encase the molten core and the roughly 200 tons of highly radioactive material. For this very reason, an initial protective sarcophagus made of concrete and steel was constructed, but it was not engineered to have a long operational lifespan. We are talking about 30 years. The rationale behind this decision was that the situation was dire, and the main goal was not to create a structure that would last forever, but rather to limit the problem in the shortest time frame achievable. However, due to this very fact, the decision was made to construct a new protective sarcophagus, one featuring significantly superior technical specifications. Thus originated the concept of the new Safe Confinement, a massive steel enclosure projected to have a lifespan of approximately 100 years. From an engineering perspective, the construction of this new sarcophagus is truly astonishing, given that it incurred costs of about $1.7 billion and represents the world's largest movable structure. This massive enclosure stands 108 meters tall, 257 meters wide, and 164 meters long, and it is classified as mobile because it was not constructed directly over the inner sarcophagus, but it was moved here via special rails in 2016. This protective shell consists of a steel framework overlaid with additional layers of stainless steel and polycarbonate material. A membrane is also incorporated with the goal of guaranteeing an airtight seal against the original structure and stopping the spread of dust particles. But the sarcophagus does not only serve to limit the damage from a possible release of radioactive material. Its objective is also to ensure that the internal sarcophagus remains protected, especially from water. Why from water? Because this could corrode it. Precisely for this reason, a ventilation and air conditioning system has also been installed inside it, to guarantee constant control of humidity and temperature. As you may have gathered, this is a structure designed down to the smallest detail and capable of withstanding strong earthquakes, hurricanes, and sudden shifts in temperature. even though, regrettably, the constructors did not account for war as a potential source of damage. The drone successfully penetrated the outer sarcophagus, but regarding the inner one, we lack completely certain details. In fact, we don't know if it suffered absolutely no damage or if it was only slightly damaged, but the fact remains that, in any case, no release of radioactive material was observed, and for this reason, radiation levels are in line with those before the attack. Alright, let's pause for a moment. We have seen the way the sarcophagus was constructed, the manner in which the drone strike occurred, and the reason why no spread of radioactive material was registered. But then, if the situation currently seems more or less under control, why is there all this panic? Everything is connected to the press release numbered 331, which was issued by the IAEA, which stands for the International Atomic Energy Agency, wherein they discuss a mission that was conducted over the past few weeks, the objective of which was to evaluate the current condition of the sarcophagus. I'll read you exactly what it says. The mission has verified that the sarcophagus has forfeited its main safety functions, which includes its ability to contain everything. But it also found that there was no permanent damage to its load-bearing structures or monitoring systems. This is the sentence that causes the issue. The sarcophagus has indeed lost its main safety functions, and that statement is accurate. As we have observed, the drone resulted in a rupture and significant damage. Over the past few months, extensive work was carried out to fix the damage, but as the president of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, reminds us, and I quote again exactly, only restricted temporary fixes were implemented on the roof section, but a prompt and comprehensive restoration is still crucial in order to avoid any further deterioration and to guarantee nuclear safety for the long term. So, in short, the damage has been repaired, but it's not enough. A complete restoration is needed to be sure that the structure remains safe in the future too. However, this is the core of the issue. It does not imply that there is currently any leakage of radioactive material. It seems subtle, but it makes a huge difference. The sarcophagus is not secure, yet we are very far from being on the brink of another nuclear catastrophe. For this very reason, various experts have spoken on the topic in recent hours, such as Sean Burney, an expert in nuclear technologies, who declared to the New York Times that currently there are no especially grave issues present there, or like Professor Jim Smith, researcher and expert in nuclear disasters, who stated to the BBC that the risk related to radioactive dust dispersion is low. So everyone, to summarize the situation, the sarcophagus is damaged, but the radiation levels are currently under control. They have, let's put it this way, applied a temporary fix, if we can use that term, and they are researching methods to make the repair definitive. But the IAEA has not said anything that justifies excessive concern. Therefore, pay attention to the things you read and always consult the original sources. Alright everyone, thank you for staying with me up to this point. I truly hope this video has helped you to feel reassured and, most importantly, to achieve clarity. And we will see each other again for a next video right here on Geopop.